Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. We are here unboxing some more tackle. This one's going to be really fun. I have two bundles here for us. Two almost, I wouldn't call them mystery boxes as it tells you what you get in them, but just a nice little gift set. These are from Bass Pro Shops. This is the Big Bass bundle and this is the bronze back box. So mystery tackle boxes are something that I'm not really a huge fan of buying. I really haven't bought one because every time I see someone open one, I see one or two things that I really like, and then a bunch of stuff that I'll never really throw. And I know that's kind of the appeal, right? And a lot of people like that. Me personally, I just don't like spending money on stuff that's just going to sit in my tackle bag. So this one's kind of neat. You know, this is more of like a thing, like a gift for, like a gift for an angler that you wouldn't really know what to get them. You know, and it looks like this is stuff that's actually been picked out with purpose. It's not just a bunch of junk, you know, just cheap lures that are in the clearance bin. So I'm excited to open these and show you what I got. We're not going to touch so much on the price. I will be flashing, you know, what I would pay for these if I bought it all separately. But this was a $60 box, and just looking at the contents, I can tell I got my money's worth. So we're going to start off taking a look at the bronze back box. So just looking at all the baits in here, this is stuff that I already pretty regularly use. It's a lot of finesse kind of stuff. You know, there's some drop shot, just some jigs, things like that. Very standard baits that are kind of geared more towards smallmouth, I guess, but really can be generally used for all bass. Smallmouth fishing is something that I've really grown to love recently. It's just a species that I find very fun to target, so decided to pick one of these up. We're gonna open it and see what we got. So kind of fun when you open this bad boy up, you know, you got your some little text there, got him. Hopefully they didn't just get us, the angler, and that means that we're gonna be getting some fish with these lures. The box breakdown. This is almost like the, you know, the original mystery tackle box. It has that feel to it, just in the cardboard, the packaging itself, and then telling you what you got and kind of giving some fun facts. I know the mystery tackle box is cool because it really gives you more of an in-depth, you know, look on how to use the baits. This is just general knowledge stuff, but either way I find it kind of interesting, and I can give you guys some tidbits as we go along. So to start off, we have the Bass Pro Tournament Series Ned Rig TPE Tails in PB&J, peanut butter and jelly. This is a 2.75 inch Ned stick, and it comes in an 8-pack. So the TPE is, I don't know the full word, but it's basically your Z-Man Elastec, your super stretchy material, which is fantastic, especially for something like a Ned rig, where that floating plastic kind of gives it that ability to stand up on a Ned head. So there it is. I mean, this is an exact ripoff of the Finesse TRD from Z-Man, even down to the Elastec, which is fine by me. I know the Z-Man, they kind of have some salt in them, they can, but this has no salt, no nothing. This is just standard plastic, PB&J. So you got some purple and some brown, your peanut butter and jelly. Very, very standard bait. Not much to say, man. I've talked about Ned rig stuff for so long now, and this is just another one that I'm going to have in my arsenal, I guess. Not a bad bait, and I'm happy to grab it. Next bait up, we have the Bass Pro Shops Tournament Series Tender Tube. So, you know, the tube is a very standard bait that's been around for like a bajillion years now. You know, very nice tube jigging. You know, people do it for the Lakers. I guess people do it for the smallmouth bass. It's something I've never really got into for whatever reason. I just don't throw a tube. I've tried. I've purchased them. I have tubes, and I just never really seem to take them out of the package. So either way, these look pretty standard and you know, nice to have. For whatever reason, I don't have any information on my bag kind of telling me the color or anything, but this looks like a green pumpkin. The box says that this is a salt-impregnated tube body with pulsating tentacles, and that fish hold on the tube longer due to salt, which I believe is all true. Yeah, just a very standard bait. Tubes are hollow-bodied, so you can you know, fit your jig head in there. You know, there's multiple ways to rig it. You could obviously rig it on like an EWG, that sort of thing. Yeah, very standard bait. That works great in lots of conditions. I'm going to give more in-depth my feeling on the box itself, but so far though I see a Ned rig bait and a tube bait, but no jig for either of them really. So that's a little odd, but not too bad. Next we have the Berkley Powerbait Maxscent Flatworm. This is a 3.6 inch bait, and this is for your drop shot. This here is the natural shad color, and that's almost like a green pumpkin color to me. It's obviously a bit lighter. The Maxscent are kind of an interesting plastic. I've used the Maxscent hitworm to great success. I've never used the flatworm, but this is a very standard looking drop shot worm. What is going on? I can't open this bag. I teared the bag where it told me to tear the bag, and it doesn't even get through past like the sealed plastic. This is annoying, but I'm gonna have to cut into this, I guess, with some scissors. I had to totally rip the top of that plastic bag. That's a little pet peeve of mine, man. If you're a bait maker, I want your plastic bag to just be easy to open when I buy it. I don't want to have to peel off a thing like it's a, you know, a bag of dog treats or something. It really doesn't matter to me if it's able to be opened from the store. But either way, this is a very nice standard drop shot worm, like I said. So you have that flat bottom. That's why it's called the flat worm. You would nose hook this on a drop shot hook. This tail is going to give lots of action, and that will entice a fish to bite your bait. Very standard, not much to talk about here. Maxscent, like I said, is a very good plastic. It is not durable though. I've gone through so many hit worms, and I'm sure I'll go through this bag pretty quickly as well. It just tears very easy. There's not much stretch. After maybe 3 fish, my plastic is torn off and I need to throw on a new worm. So just something to think about, but it is a bait that I like. I really do think the Maxscent kind of, I don't know if it's the scent on it or just like this, the look of the bait, but the Maxscent stuff does work pretty well. Next we have a Great Lakes Finesse Snack Craw. This is another plastic I've mentioned before, but really haven't been able to use much. It's a 2.1 inch craw, so almost like a micro bait here, a micro craw. This works on a Ned rig, this works as a jig trailer, and this can be used in many different scenarios. This is the green pumpkin flat, so the matte green pumpkin. See how this bag just opens right up, no problem. I like that, it keeps it clean. I don't have to rip and tear to get into my bait. This is a salted bait, very, very standard little craw, big claws that are going to give you some movement in the water. You're going to fish this. I personally would fish this on a jig. I don't love this as a Ned rig trailer, but as a jig trailer, I think it works really good. Now this box specifies that the Great Lakes Finesse Snack Craw is an easy meal for pressured bass and a non-threatening shape, which I think is true. You know, Great Lakes Finesse, it's in the name. This is a finesse style of bait that I really think is useful on those pressured bass. You know, a lot of times you need to size down, and that bait does that perfectly. Next we have some scented jerk shads from Z-Man. This is in the smelt color. This is a 3.5 inch, basically soft jerk bait. Basically just a Z-Man or a Zoom fluke, right? It's a bit smaller than your standard Zoom fluke, but that is a fluke. It has that pin kind of, that tail that goes off into 2 little appendages. You know, you have your slit in your belly. And overall, just a very standard bait. This is the scented with pure Pro Cure Super Gel, something I've never actually smelled before. Yeah, it doesn't smell great. Not great. That's made from 100% real bait. I don't know if the Pro Cure stuff really does work and, you know, helps maybe entice fish or keep them held onto the bait longer. Scenting plastics is not something that I'm really interested in. I've never really bothered with, but either way, yeah, just a solid bait. Z-Man has that Elastec, so it's going to be super durable. It's going to last you a long time, and the fluke is something I would love to throw on, like, you know, for example, I mean, this even works as a chatterbait trailer, really, but something that I throw on just a small EWG and, you know, throw around in the summer. The real reason I think they included it in this box, however, is just because it does make a fine drop shot bait. Nose hooked, just like you would the flatworm, and you can get fish that way. So if you're a soft jerkbait guy, you're gonna like this box. This is another soft jerkbait, another fluke style bait, if you will. This is the 0Z2 from Strike King. So just, yeah, same standard shape. And this one is in the, what size is this? I'm trying to see exactly. Doesn't say the size, but that is basically, looks like a 3.5 inch size bait to me. This is in the pearl color. This is a very nice color. I love white for my flukes, so that works good. And this is also the Z-Man Elastec. It's actually branded with, you know, the trademarked Elastec branding on there. So this is almost exactly like your scented jerk shad that you just got, but just a different color. And you know, just a great drop shot bait, pretty universal. You can throw it on a small EWG as well, and you know, throw that around weightless. This bag says you can even wacky rig it. I don't know that I would bother with wacky rigging my fluke. I would probably just throw a Senko or a small finesse worm like a hit worm. I mean, I'd probably even wacky rig my flatworm before I wacky rigged a fluke, but I'm sure there are people that have done this before, and if you have, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. So we're done with the plastics. It's time to look at our jigs and our terminal tackle now. This here is the Northland Smeltinator Elite Series jig. Just a real solid looking jig head. I like that sort of you know, fish head shape. A nice little bait keeper on there. This is in the 3/8 ounce and a 2/0 hook. So a nice standard size for something like a 3-inch swim bait. You know, a little paddle tail, something like that. I guess they're kind of telling you can pair this with one of those flukes, so maybe we'll pair that up and see how that goes. But overall, just a very nice little finessey kind of jig head. Very solid, very, very sharp hook, and a very, how can I say this, high-end looking jig. Next we have the XPS Finesse Football Jig. There's actually two in this bag. This is a 5/16 ounce little finesse jig in the green pumpkin orange color. Now that I'm looking at this, there's no weed guard on this jig, which is kind of interesting. So this automatically just kind of feels like an open water style of bait for me. It's almost like a Ned head kind of. Oh, there is a weed guard. I lied. I totally lied. So yeah, just a standard finesse jig then. Really nice looking, a nice compact size. This goes good with your snack craw, right? Good with your Ned rig plastic as well. Is that a wire? So it is an elastic band holding that skirt on, but overall that looks pretty good right out of the box. That skirt just sits pretty nicely. Nice little compact jig. Weed guard is pretty soft, which I like. You know, just you don't have to apply too much pressure. You don't have to really rip that lip on that hook set to hold that fish on and get a good hook set. A lot of times using finesse jigs, I like to use lighter rods, so like a medium rod, and just that works well for me. So this is gonna rig up very nicely with your Ned bait and your craw that you got in this box. Now this is what I'm really excited for. This is the Northland Tackle Marabou Jig. This is in a black color. You get 2 per pack, it looks like here. This is a 1/16 ounce jig, and made with a Gamakatsu hook. That's pretty nice, high quality. These aren't cheap, man, these Marabou jigs. I believe these are hand tied. I'd assume they are. I don't know how you'd be able to machine tie these, but just look at this. Is awesome, man. Maybe like a crappy jig, something like that, but smallmouth bass will definitely hit this. I mean, just look at the puffball on this thing, man. There's a hook buried in there somewhere. Just a nice small Ned head, and ooh, I'm really excited. I really like the look of this. This is really high quality looking. I'm excited to throw this. Nice sharp hook, pretty light wire, not too stout, which is good. I don't like a really heavy hook on my small jigs, and you know, this is gonna look awesome in the water. Pretty much just look like it would if a regular paddle tail on your jig. I know a lot of guys love hair jigs for crappie, and something I want to throw pretty soon. There's going to be a video coming up pretty soon where Liam takes out some Marabou jigs as well as some bucktail jigs, and he had a great time with the bucktails. So the hair jig is definitely something you're going to be seeing a lot on this channel going forward, I think. And this is going to start my collection here. Next up we have here the XPS Underspin. Wow, this is another really nice looking high quality bait. The Underspin is something I've grown to like recently. This one here is a 1/4 ounce in the pearly white color. So, like I say, these aren't bad colors. These are pretty standard stuff. A white Underspin is a classic, right? The 1/4 ounce is a bit smaller than what I'm used to using. I'm usually throwing 3/8 ounce into the Berkeley one, so they have a lot bigger blade as well. This blade is pretty small, actually, for what it is. But should be pretty nice to throw. You're going to have some flash there. This is, I'm assuming they're trying to pair with your jerk bait, your jerk shad. I personally would throw a paddle tail on this. Maybe like a little 2.5, a little 3-inch paddle tail would go perfectly with this jig here. Just a really nice, there it is. Nice, solid looking underspin. I like that head. So the Berkeley Underspin and the Great Lakes Finesse Sneaky Underspin have this like sort of, it's just a piece of wire going out to your blade. A lot of the ones I just saw around here were just standard. The blade was just pretty much straight attached to that jig head there. I like this one because it takes your blade farther away from your bait. It just gives everything a bit more room, a bit more bulk kind of in the water. Next up we have some XPS drop shot hooks. This is in a size 2. Very standard drop shot hook size 2. A 25 pack is pretty good. That's a lot of hooks. The Bass Pro Shops XPS hooks I used before. I do like them. They're not like the highest quality hooks. Obviously, they're not like you know, a JDM style hook, but for what they are, they're pretty nice. They're sharp enough, and I never really had any problems with them bending out or anything like that. The XPS Finesse drop shot weight. This is a 1/4 ounce drop shot weight. You get a lot of these here as well. You get 10 of them. 1/4 ounce is a little bit heavy for me. I like 1/8 ounce. That's really my perfect size. But if you're fishing deeper water, if you're fishing from a boat offshore, you're gonna want the 1/4 ounce. So you can't go wrong here. This is just a nice solid weight that you can throw your drop shot on. So I got to the bottom of my box and I found an XPS Hellgrammite in here. This is really nice. It's a 3-inch Hellgrammite. I don't know, like, it's not on the back of the box, so this shouldn't be in here, I don't think. If you bought one of these, let me know if you got a Hellgrammite. Maybe they just kind of throw in a freebie, which is alright. Either way, I mean, this is a really nice looking soft plastic, and it has the Z-Man Elastec as well. This is a very nice kind of Ned rig bait. So there you go, a green pumpkin Hellgrammite, 3-inch. A pretty funny looking bait, man, but if you haven't thrown these in small ponds or streams or rivers, you're missing out. I love these on the EWG jig heads, just throwing them on the bottom with light gear, and you know, these get slurped up pretty hardcore. So yeah, that's a good freebie, I guess. So overall, the bronze back box seems to be pretty nice. I like everything in it. I'm definitely impressed with the baits. They seem to be high quality stuff. It's not junk. It's not just cheap crap that you find in the clearance bin. It's not even like bad colors or anything. Pretty much all of these seem to be a hit, for me at least. I kind of wish there was a Ned jig in here. You have some really nice Ned baits, but no jig to put those on. It's kind of odd, I guess, but those will totally work on your finesse football jig, so I get that. And the biggest miss for me is there's no like 3-inch, 2.5-inch, there's no finesse paddle tail. You have your Smeltinator jig heads and you have the Underspin that I really think would benefit from a nice paddle tail, just a standard soft plastic. So, I mean, for a beginner, you got a lot here, a lot of stuff you can work with here. If you're gonna buy this for somebody, buy them this box, grab them in a pack of you know, Bass Pro Speed Shads or the high-tech, you know, Swing Impacts, something small and finessey, or you know, even just with this, they can definitely get on some smallmouth bass. If you're an avid angler like myself, I think you could also pick up this box. There is a lot of value in this box. Just a lot of stuff that if you don't already have, or even if you do have, you're gonna throw a lot of these lures, I think. So here's one you can rig up. You can throw that soft jerkbait on your Underspin and throw that around. That'll definitely get a bit. Like I said, I like the paddle tail on these Underspins, but they're gonna get action out of this. You can pop it and do lots of things, and you can definitely give action to this bait. Pretty solid little setup there, so that's a good pairing. And there's my other preferred pairing from that box. That is the XPS Football Jig with the Snack Craw. A nice little morsel you can pop on the bottom, and that will 100% catch you a bass in any water that holds smallmouth bass. Box number 2 I have today is the one that I think the majority of you are going to be interested in, because this one has a Z-Man Jackhammer in it. The Jackhammer, as I'm sure a lot of you know, any of you chatterbait guys know, is like a $25 bait. It's very expensive, very high end, and people say that it is one of a kind when it comes to bladed jigs. It's just, there's nothing that matches it. So it's one that I've had my eye on for a long time, and I finally get to own one. I just never really justified spending $30 Canadian almost on a small jig. So either way, we're gonna open that up as well as everything else that is in the Big Bass bundle. So there it is, the Jackhammer, the Z-Man Evergreen collaboration. This is a very, very high-end, beautiful looking chatterbait. This here is in the Fire Craw color, and it is a 3/8 ounce weight. 3/8 ounce weight is very, very nice. I guess this is not my preferred color of chatterbait. I would love a white and chartreuse one. I don't think I've ever actually even thrown Fire Craw, but I do know a lot of guys who kind of swear by it. So I got out of the package now. This is a very, very nice feeling chatterbait, man. This blade is supposed to be ultra thin, ultra strong, stainless steel. Even just down to your snap here, feels really nice to hold. I love that your jig head says 3/8 ounce on the jig head itself. I wish more jigs did this. Guggen Baits actually does a really good job with this, where they tell you what size your bait is. I get that's like a small thing, but it's something I like to see. Your bait keeper looks very nice. I like your double prong there. Nice sharp hook and a wire tied skirt. Wire tying seems to kind of be the best way you can go when tying a skirt. To me, it's hand tie or wire tie. I don't care which one. As long as it's not a rubber band, I'm happy with paying, you know, a little bit extra. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to know just how good this is until I get it out on the water. From what I hear, man, as soon as you cast this thing down, as soon as you start retrieving, this blade is going to start working its wonders, and this thing's going to start shimmying back and forth and enticing bites. So yeah, very impressed with that. My first ever jackhammer. I finally joined the club. Hopefully I don't use this and then only ever feel like using jackhammers, but overall, pretty nice bait. That fire craw color is a little odd, man. It's that bright orange with some red on top with some black in the skirt material, but definitely wonky, definitely not, you know, a white and chartreuse, a white, or just even like a bluegill color. It is a weird one, but you are getting a jackhammer in a bundle that's only costing you $60, so I'm not too mad about it. Yeah, we're gonna see. Definitely gonna throw this around a bit as soon as I get back out fishing and see how it performs. Next up, we have the Yamamoto Senko. Man, the Yamamoto Senko is, you know, the standard, the original stick bait, and this is a 5-inch stick bait. This is in green pumpkin with black flake, kind of the perfect color to me for a Senko. I know a lot of guys like, you know, some black and blue. They like some PBJ. To me, green pumpkin is the best color for a Senko, and just pretty much every single, you know, water condition, I think green pumpkin excels. So yeah, there you have it. A very nice standard 5-inch stick bait, one that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. This is kind of your, you know, your main bass fishing bait. If you want to catch a bass, throw a Senko out there. Something is bound to bite it. The Yamamoto Senkos are not the most durable. That's my one gripe with them. But apparently, and I mean, I don't really notice because I'm not a big Senko guy, all things considered, but apparently the Senko has the best fall, and there's nothing that comes close to it. So, you know, I don't know if it's just the salt in it or what exactly causes that, but it's the best Senko according to most, and that makes sense because it is a pricey bait. It's not cheap. It's not like a Yum Dinger or something like that, which is my preference personally. But you know, you pay for what you get, I guess, and you know, this is a fan favorite among most anglers. So next up, we have the Strike King KVD Natural Shad crankbait. This is a squarebill crankbait. The squarebill is one that, or really every crankbait, is a bait that I don't use much. I don't throw it a lot. I just, for most of the year where I fish, there's too much vegetation to use treble hooks. And then once that vegetation goes away, I have other baits that I'm more inclined to use. But a lot of guys swear by the squarebill crankbait. It's nice. It can bounce off a lot of cover, you know, wood, rocks, things like that. That squarebill is really good at just, you know, banging through it all. And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to, you know, make those bass angry with one of these and just throw it in there and you know, zoom it past those bass and stir them up. And so, yeah, the KVD Strike King, I know, is a pretty good quality crankbait. And I'm pretty happy that that's in my box. And it's something that I will eventually throw, I'm sure, in my lifetime. I only have like a couple other crankbaits, so it's nice to have one of these in my collection. Next up, we have the Rapala OG Slim. This is the Aughts Garage series. Another very standard crankbait, but man, you know, Rapala is one of the best bait makers I find for hard plastic baits, like jerk baits and crankbaits, things like that. They just have a very high quality, and they come in at a pretty good price usually. But they aren't cheap, I'll tell you that much. So this being included in the box is very nice, of course. And so this Aughts Garage series, I don't know much about, but this is a balsa wood crankbait. This is not a plastic, so it is actually a wood, and it has a microchip board bill there. So I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if there's a reason for that, but this is a swim depth of 6 feet, and I'm looking at it right now. It's a 1/2 ounce bait, so you know, a very standard, very easy to use crankbait for sure. Yeah, that shad color is very standard, man. I feel like anybody can use that anywhere in the country or the continent, I guess. Canada, USA, wherever you are, man. If you can fish a crankbait, this color will work. I'll tell you that much right now. Not much shine to it. There's some shine on the top, but it's almost like a matte finish on the sides. Definitely a good one to have in the collection, though. Some nice sized, pretty high quality hooks. And overall, I think I'm going to like that. Next up, we have the XPS Frog. This is in the tree frog color from Bass Pro XPS. This is a very standard frog. A frog is something else that I do not fish. However, it's something that I want to fish, but I never fish topwater. I just never get catches on topwater. I mean, it's the best. It's definitely the most fun way to catch a bass, but To me, it's just not reliable, and I have zero confidence in it. That being said, though, the Frog is something that a lot of guys use. I know people personally who love throwing a Frog, and they do well with it, so not bad to have in your arsenal. This Frog in particularly, I haven't heard the best. I've heard mixed things about how they work, just filling with water, things like that. But it does have a nice soft body, and you know, it's definitely weedless, so yeah, fun to throw. Throw it into the lilies, throw wherever you want. Don't worry about losing it, because it's not a super expensive bait. Next up, the original rattle trap. This is a Bill Lewis rattle trap in a 1/2 ounce, 3-inch length. The rattle trap's a great bait, man. I know my cousin, he just recently bought one of these this summer, threw that around in this exact color, and I believe this exact size. This color is the chrome and blue back. A really nice color that I've seen in videos and things like that, and people say this is the color to buy. So, you know, you got your blue on one side, you have your silver on the other. That's pretty nice looking. Actually, excuse me, sorry. The back, your blue is on top, your silver is on the sides. You want that chrome color with lipless crankbaits from what I hear. So, you know, you have that shine in the water that will entice a fish. Very solid inclusion in this. It has, you know, the rattle and the rattle trap, of course. Yeah, very versatile bait. I think will work in most lakes. They include a nice jig trailer in this one too. This is the Crawdigy Craw. The Crawdigy Craw JR. Funny story, when I first saw this in store, I thought it was Crawdigy Craw. But yeah, the Crawdigy, the Prodigy, right? It's a fun name. This is in the green pumpkin color. This is a 3-inch craw. This is a lot bigger than your snack craw in the smallmouth box for sure. So very standard craw bait. You have lots of movement on these appendages. It does have some thicker plastic there on the top, so that's going to get lots of movement in the water and stir that up. This is a very nice standard jig trailer, and one that I like to use. It's almost like a chunk trailer, I guess you would say. It doesn't have a huge craw body, but you know, just enough to get on that hook. And these claws, these appendages are going to do lots of action in the water and really just, you know, get bass hooked on that. Next up, we have the XPS Comeback Shad. A nice, big, massive swim bait, man. This is a 6-inch, 1.5 ounce soft swim bait. Basically a mag draft clone, but from what I've heard, the mag draft is actually a clone of the Bass Pro Comeback Shad, which I find, you know, kind of interesting. So this was out a long time ago in like the 2000s. They got rid of it. Mag draft came out. That made it really popular. Now I think Berkeley has the Call Shad. Just these soft swim baits with a belly kind of treble placement. The mag draft is a bait that I've been looking at for a while now. I don't have a rod to really throw it on. I would think I would need a heavy bait caster. I could maybe get away with throwing on my medium heavy. Maybe. I don't think I really would. But yeah, standard soft paddle tail, but really big. Where I fish, the bass don't get big enough to really want this, but this would make a good pike bait, I think. And, you know, if you're in the southern states, if you're up, maybe even up north in northern Ontario, I think your bass would definitely want something like this, a big, huge swim bait. This is not going to attract all fish, but this will attract big fish. I guess this was a tournament winner back in the day, and it was a very nice, fun, big bait to throw. So, yeah, lots of videos out there, guys, using these. I've heard that these can be duds. I've heard sometimes, man, they're not going to run true. They're going to kind of go sideways, things like that. But apparently this is, out of all of these style of baits, this is the one you can fish the slowest. And slow rolling a swim bait is something I really like doing. So, you know, that is kind of interesting to me. And maybe one day I'll have a heavier rod to throw this. Either way, this is kind of awesome. It's really cool that they included it, I guess. A bait that a lot of people just aren't going to buy or really even, you know, throw that often. So, fun to have included, definitely. It's interesting. Last but not least, we have a Lazer Eye Spinnerbait, man. The spinnerbait is a pretty iconic, you know, little lure you can throw. This one's very standard. It's a fire tiger looking color. Yeah, fire tiger. So you have some orange on your belly, some yellow, and some green. Gold blades. You have a willow blade, and you have a Colorado. The spinnerbait can be thrown with a paddle tail trailer, or it can just be thrown, you know, as is, and it'll do well. I really like having the willow and a Colorado blade on my spinnerbaits. This is pretty much exactly what I want to throw. I use a lot of white and chartreuse on my spinnerbaits, but fire tiger works well as well. So, not a bad color, and this is a 1/4 ounce, a very nice size. I personally like 1/2 ounce, 3/8 ounce, but a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait is a very standard bait that will work well for almost anybody. So that's it for that box. Definitely a lot less than the bronze back box, but you're getting a lot higher end stuff in this one. You have your Jackhammer, that's a big ticket item. You have your comeback shad, which I know is only like $8 or $9, but you know, that's a pretty nice bait to include. It's something a little bit different that I think is fun to have. You have your rattle trap, that's a kind of a higher end bait, and of course you have your Rapala, you know, Slim crankbait. That's something that's nice to throw in. A lot of high end stuff and a little bit of everything in this one. The one thing that seems kind of oddball to me is your XPS Crawdigy Craw JR. I'm like looking at it all, like there's no jigs, so why have a jig trailer? You know, it's definitely a good looking jig trailer and one that I will 100% be using probably pretty regularly on my jigs. But I mean, maybe like you could pair that with your fire craw Jackhammer. I wouldn't, but I know a lot of guys like using craws as trailers in certain situations on their Jackhammer, so that could definitely work. But maybe you swap this out for like a spunk shad or a freeloader, or you know, a chatter spike, or you know, any other kind of, maybe a chatterbait trailer, just to make this even that much more of a good, you know, a good have in the box. So that's all for here. Either way, these are two great boxes that would make a great gift or would be fine to purchase for yourself like I did today. You get a nice mix of things, and so I'm impressed, definitely. Please like, comment, subscribe, and tight lines out there, everybody.